Robert McFerrin Sr. was a pioneering African-American operatic baritone and the father of musician Bobby McFerrin. He broke racial barriers in 1955 by becoming the first black man to sing a solo role at the New York Metropolitan Opera, debuting in Verdi's Aida. His career included a total of 10 operas at the Met over 3 seasons and providing the singing voice for Sidney Poitier in the 1959 film Porgy and Bess.
Robert Keith McFerrin Sr. was born on March 19, 1921, in Marianna, Arkansas. McFerrin showed vocal talent at an early age, singing while still a boy soprano in a local church's gospel choir. As a young teenager, he joined 2 of his siblings in a trio. The 3 accompanied their father on regional preaching engagements, singing gospel songs, hymns, and spirituals. Reverend McFerrin did not wish his son to sing secular music, but in the end, this wish was undone by his desire to give him the best possible education. After McFerrin completed the 8th grade in Memphis, his father sent him to live with his aunt and uncle in St. Louis so he could attend Sumner High School. There, the young man's musical horizons widened. He joined the choir and impressed the director, Wirt Walton. Walton also arranged for McFerrin's first vocal recital to help him earn funds for his college enrollment. Charles Mackay, general director of Opera Theater of St. Louis, described McFerrin's baritone voice as, quote, beautiful, virile, strong, and sensitive, end quote. In 1948, McFerrin moved to New York City and began receiving vocal coaching from composer and choir director Hall Johnson. In 1949, McFerrin married Sarah Copper, another aspiring singer. The couple had 2 children, Robert Jr., better known as Bobby, and Brenda.
This is African American History is American History.
In New York, McFerrin's singing career prospered. A 1949 appearance in a small role in the Kurt Weill Broadway musical Lost in the Stars led to the title role of Rigoletto at the Tanglewood Music Festival in that same year. He was then cast as Valentine in Faust with the New England Opera Theater. Also that same year, he performed as Amonasro in Aida with the National Negro Opera Company and made his New York City opera debut, singing the role of Popoloy, a voodoo doctor, in the premiere of William Grant Still's Haitian opera, Troubled Island. In 1950, McFerrin sang the title role in Rigoletto with the New England Opera. Moving between opera and Broadway, in 1951 he performed in a revival of The Green Pastures, and the following year he sang in My Darlin' Aida, a version of Verdi's Aida updated to 1861 and set in Memphis, Tennessee. He also returned to the National Negro Opera Company in 1952 to sing Valentine in Faust. By 1950, the Metropolitan Opera came under the leadership of Sir Rudolph Bing, an Austrian-born British opera impresario who was determined to formally integrate the Met's casting of singers. Marian Anderson made history during Bing's tenure as the first African-American lead hired to sing on the Met stage. McFerrin followed with his Met debut in the same month, on January 27, 1955. And so, McFerrin became the first black man to sing at the Metropolitan Opera. Rarely stated, the great publicity surrounding Marian Anderson's accomplishment is the fact that McFerrin was already engaged to make his debut when Anderson rescinded her contract. With his Rigoletto in 1956, McFerrin became the first African American in history to sing a title role at the Met. In addition, McFerrin was the first African American to sing at both the Metropolitan Opera and the New York City Opera. He achieved the same distinction with his Rigoletto in Naples, at the San Carlo Opera, in 1956. McFerrin's debut role at the Met was Amonasro, the Ethiopian king. In Aida, He sang for 3 years at the Metropolitan Opera, 7 times as Amonostro, once as Valentine in Faust, and twice in the title role of Rigoletto. Concerned with the uncertainty of his future in New York, McFerrin resigned his position at the Met in favor of his chances in Hollywood. After 1958, McFerrin never appeared at the Metropolitan Opera again.
This is African American History is American History.
McFerrin went to California in 1958 to work on the Otto Preminger movie Porgy and Bess. The casting plans for this production of the George Gershwin opera slated Sidney Poitier as Porgy. Poitier was to act the role on screen and lip-sync the musical numbers. McFerrin was engaged to provide Porgy's singing voice. The McFerrins settled in Hollywood so that Robert McFerrin Sr. could begin working with Sidney Poitier. When the movie was released in 1959, the New York Times stated that, quote, like Poitier's acting, McFerrin's singing was as sensitive and strong as one could wish. The soundtrack was released as an LP. McFerrin and his wife set up a vocal studio in Los Angeles and began teaching. In 1959, McFerrin was engaged to teach singing lessons at the Sibelius Academy in Helsinki, and later he became a voice teacher at Sacramento State College. While they were living in California, the McFerrins' marriage ended in divorce. McFerrin credited his ex-wife with helping to support the family while he was beginning his career. She also played as his piano accompanist and helped him learn new music at the keyboard. After 15 years in California, McFerrin moved to St. Louis, Missouri. In 1973, McFerrin returned to St. Louis, the city where he had attended high school. It remained his primary residence for the rest of his life. McFerrin accepted an appointment as artist-in-residence at the St. Louis Institute of Music Conservatory, both performing and teaching. During these years in St. Louis, he sang in public with his children. Bobby and Brenda had grown up in a household where music was a major topic of conversation, and where, as Bobby McFerrin recalls, quote, there was all kinds of music. Both Bobby and Brenda became professional singers, though they chose not to follow their parents' footsteps into the classical field. Bobby became a non-classical singer, conductor, composer, and Grammy Award winner. Calling herself a consumer vocalist, Brenda pursued a career as a Motown recording artist. The three sang in 1987 at a benefit concert for the McFerrin Endowment for Minority Artists at the Sheldon Concert Hall.
This is African American History is American History.
Although Robert McFerrin Sr. sustained a stroke in 1989 which affected his speech, he remained able to sing. In 1993, he appeared with his son and the St. Louis Symphony. Bobby conducted, and McFerrin Sr. sang. In 1995, he married his second wife, Athena Bush. McFerrin was twice awarded honorary doctorates. In 1987, from Stowe Teachers College, St. Louis, and in 1989, from the University of Missouri, St. Louis. In 2003, Opera America, in conjunction with the Association of U.S. and International Professional Opera Companies and Opera Volunteers International, honored McFerrin with a Lifetime Achievement Award. He is commemorated by a brass star and bronze plaque embedded in the St. Louis Walk of Fame. Robert McFerrin Sr. suffered a heart attack on November 24, 2006, and died in St. Louis at the age of 85. He is buried at Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery. Upon McFerrin's death, the African-American tenor George Shirley wrote, Robert McFerrin Sr.'s heart was that of a giant. As one of the world's greatest singers and courageous pioneers, he instilled within me and countless other black males the resolve to pursue our destinies as performers in the profession of grand opera. In spite of the personal hardships he endured, his magnificent voice retained its amazing power and beauty well into his 8th decade.
This has been African American History is American History. I'm Harlan Kearsley.
And I'm Claudia Sanders.
And on behalf of everyone involved with African American History is American History, thank you for listening.
And if you haven't done so, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the show. Also, if you click that bell icon, you will be notified as new episodes are posted.
Thanks again, and please, stay safe. African American History is American History. Copyright H.C. Kearsley, 2025.